by Germany and Algeria. But it really is, maybe, as I say, a switching of the top seed in this group. Canada, 3 of the last 4 Paralympic gold medals in the wheelchair basketball competition. They've had a much more difficult go of it in Rio, as they have not been able to get a victory as yet in their opening 2 games. And Australia have been impressive with the 2 performances. They have both of them as victories to their credit. So this, the last time they met in London 4 years ago, it was a victory for gold for Canada, but they sit 6th in this group right now. Spain at the top with 5 points, Turkey equally with 5, and then Australia sitting in 3rd position. So it is the top 4 teams of the subsequent groups, Group A and Group B, a total of 12 teams in this competition, but it's the top 4 of each group that will automatically be qualified through to the quarterfinal round, and Canada really need to come out with something very impressive here. Their score lines so far: defeated by Spain by a score of 80-46 for Canada, and then also a much closer score line against the Netherlands, as Australia are now being announced out onto the floor. Looking at number 9, Tristan Knowles, really one to be looking for. He just got announced onto the floor. He, with the points per game average of 22.5, has really been carrying the lion's share of the offense for Australia in this competition. And then their coach, that is Ben Ettridge, who has been a part now as a player equally himself, and then leading this team to that silver medal 4 years ago in London, and then equally the gold that they were able to claim in the Paralympic Games in Beijing. They are the 2014 world champions, are Australia. Now Canada now being announced out onto the floor. And a little bit of a different story for Canada. 4 years ago, when they claimed that gold medal, their coach, Jerry Tonello, was the leader of the ship. And there's been a changing of the guard, and that really more by circumstance, as Tonello, unfortunately, losing his short battle with cancer and a brain tumor earlier this year in January. He passed. He stepped away from the Paralympic program in the men's wheelchair basketball in 2015 in May. And then interim coach, who now is the full-time coach, Stephen Bialowas, took this team into the Pan Am Games that were in Toronto in 2015. And from there, they moved forward. And in that particular competition, the Canadian team, well, they honor their coach with a medal there. But we will now break as the playing of the national anthems. both teams introduced and now to shake hands, and it's really a great part of each of the matches, the sportsmanship that we've seen. The Canadians are here in great support. Equally, so are the Australians. They travel well too. The green and gold, the very distinct green and gold. It's the black on right now, but they'll take off their warm-up tops, and then you'll see the white and red of Canada. We just talk about the coach for Canada, Jerry Tonello, the 59-year-old, and the passing of himself earlier in this year, but they win a silver to Canada in the Paralympic Games in Toronto a year ago, and they dedicate it to their coach. But this is their lineup, and gone are Patrick Anderson, Joey Johnson, but David Eng, number 15, one to be watching for as a threat. And then equally as well, Tyler Miller, a player who's capable, but they haven't really got the scoring that they would have known previously, Canada, in this tournament so far. Nick Gonchin also with 9 points average per game, but they, with the 2 subsequent losses in their opening matches, they're really just trying to push off against something. And there is Steve Bialowas, who was the interim coach a year ago, and with that silver medal in Toronto, he takes over the duties here. He had been a part as the assistant coach, equally with the men's and the women's programs, and then the junior program coming through. And so Paralympic Canada puts him in charge, and the Australian lineup, one to be looking for. Number 9, Tristan Knowles, is the most notable threat out there for Ben Ettridge's side, but they really just have greater balance and distribution. Sean Norris, a great shooter as well, number 7 to be looking for as well for Australia. There is Ettridge. So has led this side to the gold that they had in Beijing, the silver in London 4 years ago. So he's got continuity, and he has been with this personnel. And as I mentioned, trying to get a little bit younger are Canada. Their average age just under 30, just over 30 for Australia. And there a look at the referees today. It's Gustavo Matias who is in charge as the referee, and the 2 umpires, Thomas Paglia and Adam Polchak, will take the umpire's role. The opening lineup for Canada: HEDGES, LANCIA, JASSMAN, Miller, and Eng. And Eng really going to be the biggest threat. You see him right there in the middle from the back. He with the shaved head and the arms out, number 15. And there Knowles, number 9. You also have a look there. Ness is capable as a veteran of this side, but Knowles and Norris, both 7 and 9, are going to carry the load here. Latham will take some of the distribution as well, number 5 for Australia too, but really the Australians favored in this one. It's not necessarily how they may have liked it. They were pipped at the post 4 years ago in that gold medal game, and that had been the story, and the reverse was true 4 years prior in Beijing. But these are the results for Canada. They just haven't been able to generate enough offense so far, and taking on 2 very formidable teams, both Spain and Netherlands. And for the Australians, a 20-point victory over the Netherlands, and Canada obviously losing to them. And then the 2-point victory over Turkey. Turkey will be right in amongst it. So Australia are favored to get themselves on the podium again. They'll be looking for gold in Rio. This is a big step and a big stepping stone for them that they'll want to push off against. And there the acknowledgement coming across. That was Eng to just shake the hands of the Australian bench. They all know each other well. They've been down these roads before. And right now, it looks a little bit of a more daunting travel for Canada, as Eng will make his way. Really a great bit of respect and sportsmanship as he's done the round the house with everybody. They just concede that one, Canada, as Latham will just touch it back. And this immediately for Knowles. You wouldn't be surprised if he looks for 3. Here he goes. It's up. And that's as good a roll to try to compete, at least to fall down on the first touch of it. But it will, on both attempts, just spray wide of the rim. Knowles is confident enough that he'll take another one from here. There he goes. And that's the second asking of it, is a little more rewarding as he returns that with interest. Give them 3 cracks at it, 3 for $1, and they've got 3 points on the board. The wide side, that is so well received by the Canadian, taking that inside to Eng. Eng will go up off the glass, and that is some great work. inside this opening minute. Both teams with a score. Knowles has had the lion's share of possession so far. He turns back on himself, and he's looking to be a three-point maestro. He goes off the rim and just has had 3 attempts at it. He's got 3 points, but of course he'd love 9. Canada, with this possession, can take the lead. It's going to need to be a good angled shot there, just a little bit too fearsome coming off of that back glass, and ENG reaches in. I think he may have picks up the foul. Just have a listen to it. And it's going to be a personal foul. It's going to be Hedges who takes it for Canada. Well, rather, that is against the Australians, so Hedges picks it up. So hard to tell sometimes just where you're going to see that foul, but just a shot now from Norris. And it's the play that goes on off the ball that really just have to keep a short leash on. From 3-point range, it's going to be a passing play across to ENG. ENG will just take his moment to shoot. And both teams right now just a little bit challenged to get their shooting sights going. This is a much better range for Australia, and an open play. They find a way to convert. So the score coming, Tristan Knowles has got 3, the other 2 now belonging to Norris as expected. Those 2 leading from the front for the green and gold. So just to lay out the basic guidelines of wheelchair basketball, every player on the floor having a classification, and that numerical value is Canada that just brought it back within 1. And that shot just puts it up. It's Hedges who will take that one. But each player having a numerical value in proportion, it's assigned to their level of function. So the players with the higher level of function have a higher numerical value, and the players with the lower level of function with the lower level. And so a 1.0 is the lowest level, all the way up to 4.5, and there's a couple now 3-pointers. He's starting to throw the rainbows up, is Tristan Knowles, and that'll just give now a 4-point spread for the land down under. And they're putting the Maple Leafs under pressure early in this one. ENG from the outside, he just distributes it. Canada moving it well enough. It has been their shooting accuracy so far. So a total of 14 points to get back to it. They would have had a chance there for a resetting of the 14-second shot clock, but they don't get the rebound, and Australia does. So across the 5 players, you cannot exceed the total value cumulatively of 14. And there you see how often they will go down. So it's all about the impairment in the lower limbs. You'll see some of the players with amputation, equally some with just the inability to use their legs for whichever reason, whether it's muscular or whichever the impairment may have. Some born, equally some acquired. This will be Knowles from 3-point range. He's going to go for 3 right now. They better slow him down. He's got himself a hot shooting hand that he strokes. 9 points already for Australia. And this is a threat of danger for Canada. They cannot allow Tristan Knowles to shoot out the lights from range. This will be thrown up by ENG, and it'll come up at least half a foot short. It hits the front of the rim, but he needed a little more distance to get it inside that bucket. Another attempt here. That looked almost on the mark, but close only counts in slow dancing. It won't count as you put it up on the rim. It has to go down, as we all know. And this is a Australian side that will just take their moments. And Tristan Knowles looked to have massaged the entirety of the rim there and was going to get it to drop, but he comes up short. That looked to be maybe an infringement. ENG inside, and ENG is getting batted around. That was is almost like a ping pong ball, the way it was being swatted at, or like a butterfly that just gets away. The Canadians now with the substitutions. And a chance to have a little bit of a different look for this Canadian lineup. Vermette comes in, JASSMAN, Hickey, Juan, and Gonchin. So this, a distribution of balance that they need. And I think the Canadians know that they're gonna be up against it. They're gonna just run short of time. And that's not necessarily to slight their performance so far, but really the facts of the scoreline in the competition that they have been able to generate so far, it's an indication that they are going through a transition as a program. Knowles from the outside, the rebound taken, and strength going up to take that one down. Gonchin with that, he's a 4.5 classified player, he's still going. And number 4, he's now got a couple Aussie mosquitoes on him though, and he just can't make that work for himself, as that will just knuckle wide of the inside of that rim. And Knowles, I think he's going to pick up the foul. He's got a hand on there, but he just touches the elbow, and it is just that little bit of a touch. And he's suggesting, well, it might have been more from a brisk wind that came into the Olympic arena than what I was doing to him, but it will be a shot from the line nonetheless for Canada. That goes off the front of the rim. This for Knowles, he'll take it. And a fast break, all of a sudden there's room, he's gonna put it inside, and it's up. Maybe just getting underneath the basket a little too tight to have the angle they needed Australia to get that, to carry them in. And there's the contact from the Canadian defender, just getting underneath the wheels of the Australian coming now to the line. This is Shaun Norris, the 1-2 punch of Norris and Knowles. Both teams pretty active so far. Lois rotating through his lineup, trying to utilize his full personnel. And that's a really nice stroke from the free line there. Just well placed, and it's just a beautiful snap as you watch the mesh just sort of kick up. It's like dropping a pebble in the pond. Just beautiful. Again, as it's in the basket and it's on the board. Norris and Knowles right now taking Australia forward in this one. And you wouldn't bet against them increasing it to a double point advantage, but a pass inside and the hoop and the harm. And that's what Canada needed. And the long extension from Nick Gonchin, 24 years of age. And he has that height. You see the different wheelchairs. And it really comes down to the height of the athletes. If they have an amputation on one or both of their legs, well, they can choose the height that they would like, maybe for their chair where the seat level will be at. But if their legs equally, they need to obviously allow for those, and making sure that the height of their seat, because of simply the height of their body, is going to be higher than other athletes. And remembering as well that the limbs provide a counterweight, a counterbalance that helps them retain their balance, and equally the angle in which the wheels come down from their chair will give them a wider tripod type of positioning. So every player, depending on their physical characteristics and equally their impairment, but now Canada find a little bit of a stroke here. And that goes high up, and that's such an impressive shot, to use the full height of the backboard to get the angle and also the speed of it arriving. So the deflection comes down at the right distance, and too easy inside for Australia, as Bradley Ness, the captain, the 41 years young player. You'll see players into their 40s Haven't seen anybody in their 50s yet, but I wouldn't count that out. There are a few that have been around and love this game. And if you could play in your 50s, why wouldn't you? If you can play at top level where you have been able to for so long, but you'll see that the youth movement is on though for Canada. As best they can, there really is a blend. If you could get a third of your personnel at 35 and over, and between 25 and 35, another third of your team, 4 players, and then equally another 4 players under 25, that would be the optimum balance that any program would like to retain. But it doesn't always work out like that. You've got to take the best players that are going to do the best job to represent your nation. It'll be picked up by Australia, and here they come on the break again. So 3 3-pointers already from Tristan Knowles, and he is the Stephen Curry of wheelchair basketball. And Stephen Curry, of course, well known with the Golden State Warriors in the National Basketball Association. And that's a little bit of an awkward one. Ness there has just brought about some traffic. He upends the Canadian, and this is starting to get a little bit hot. That's the first time I've seen something that was a little bit offside, as Ness just comes in and rocks his man. And I like physical contact just as much as the next guy, but that we have not seen, as Ness is just taking a moment to express his feelings about maybe where Australia has sat in relation to Canada over the last number of Paralympic cycles. This will be a free throw from the line now. And this, for Canada, they could really maybe push off from here as Gonchen is getting it. This is the discussion going on now with Ettridge, just from the referee. And there's some curiosity here just about the call. And Ettridge knows, regardless of what the scoreline is reflecting right now, this match has a sub-level to it as well, as Tristan Knowles has been great so far, shooting out the lights for Australia. And we'll just have a look across his tally. So the 9 points, 3 from 7 from range, as he's had a couple from 2-point range, but it's 3 from 5, shooting 60%. And I think they're reviewing this play from Ness. And Ness might be in some hot water here, because that was simply unnecessary. Well, we'll wait to see just how this is going to play out. Ettridge has got his ideas about it. So let's just watch and wait and see. So the foul is drawn by Vermette. Vermette is the one that gets popped there by Bradley Ness. And there's no doubt that that's what Ness intended to do. He was a little bit like a runaway train on a one-way track. Except there was already a player on that track. It was Vermette. And he was in the dark as to what was coming. He'll go to the line. He's got himself sorted now. These guys are made of pretty stern stuff. They have faced enough challenges en route, and this one an opportunity for Vermette from the line. And that, well, it says it all, doesn't it? Actions speak louder than any word. And that is going to be the first. And that's going to come up short. So just the 2 shots, and it'll be the inbound as well for Canada. They'll make a substitution. Eng coming back in. He's got the Superman tattoo on his left shoulder there. He's certainly in great condition. So he comes in, Hickey goes out. And Canada bringing it within 7. Gonchen has really been holding it together through the spine of this offense and up and down at both ends of the floor for the Maple Leafs. He's got himself in a good position there. In the hoop and the harm, I think he's gonna go. He's gonna go for a 3-point play here. And Canada have just somehow struck a balance in this match. Well, the Australians who come out, and any side in this tournament that is able to send in the long-range bombers of 3-pointers that we saw from Tristan Knowles, that he misses the free throw after the basket. But anybody's going to take a good head start, and you're going to get that type of shooting. This for Norris, and Norris will just go off the back of the rim. And where will the foul come from? I think it's coming against Canada. And it will go to Canada's I think Vermette's going to pick that one up. So the personal fouls, Hedges has got one, Lancia's got one, and it's Vermette that picks up that personal foul. So we're now 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. It's been an interesting one. It's had a little bit of distinction to it, without a doubt. Ness has got a boomerang on that one as it comes right back to him in his position, and you almost sense that that was going to go down. Australia have shown that possibility and that danger for Canada. That's definitely in their arsenal. As Gonchen, he needs to maybe find a passing option. He's got Eng. Eng right now is going to have to just muscle his way away from it, and then it's just batted away. Almost like a volleyball serve by their veteran captain, Bradley Ness, and then they do recover it. Simmons will have the inbounds. So Simmons invites Gonchen, and just a little bit untidy with that effort. So a wholesale change of players for Australia, as in comes a whole new crop. Blair, Simmons, Stibners, and Latham on the floor. It's going to be Simmons, though. Still, he's looking for his first points of the match. So Simmons, Stibners, it's Blair, it's Knowles, and Latham out for Australia, as they really look to change up. Gonchen, Wan, Vermette, Miller, and Eng for Canada on the floor right now. So the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, is not a whole lot of scoring on the board, and some curiosity as to the flavor of this match. Neither of these teams give the other any quarter. It is, I'm not going to say it's prison rules, but they play for keeps for sure. Everybody does, but this one, this has got history to it. The shot from Simmons, and he's been able to strike a balance there as he goes 2 for 2 from the line, gets his first couple points, and now a 7-point advantage. Canada have not really shown a three-point offering yet. They're trying to get it inside, and every time that it is being brought inside by Eng, he basically has got an Australian uniform on as he's being smothered by them. He's going to have a couple shots here. And he works the rim at the front and also the backboard. And gets the encouragement from his team as well. Oh, and that is a sweet stroke there. It's string music for David Eng. He is being relied upon heavily. He's the captain as well. 39 years of age and a classified player of 4.5. So it's within 5 again. So this, a winding route through the first quarter. It feels as though we've almost moved through towards the end of the first half, but we're just coming up to the remaining minute. And there is Knowles again. And Canada do need to keep an eye on him. And he'll find his own space. He was behind a pick there and just was able to make the most of his shot. And nothing more intimidating than great shooting accuracy. You just can ill afford making mistakes. How will this give and go from the Canadians? And the follow through is not as precise. That really was a great overlap. And then an underlay pass coming in. A defensive rebound for Knowles, and if you give him some room, he's going to stop and pop. There, he's ready for another one. He'll just, again, find a way just past the open bucket. And Eng you expect that he's going to try and take this one on. The feed to Gonchen. He's going to have to hold the pass to the outside. A better position there, and oh, that's well taken. That is the Canadian number 7, Juan, who just puts that one up, and that's his first couple points of the match. So it's still within 5, and what looked to be an Australian, well, shall we say, a speedy start, particularly with Knowles and what he was able to do from three-point range. It's back within check, and this match is just starting to heat up after the first quarter of play. It's Australia 21, Canada was 16. As you see for Australia, that is the product of Tristan Knowles, but the overall 2-pointers and the total field goal percentage stronger for Canada. The rebounds defensively, not a whole lot of difference in it. So this is all entirely in the balance between these two Commonwealth nations. They're giving as good as they've got. Underway in the second quarter. It's Canada with the possession arrow. It was LATHAM that took that opening tip, and then the Canadians just conceding. They really need to take advantage of that. Coming in and driving to the basket. That was uncontested, and they let it slip. That was Hedges, the captain, the co-captain, with David Eng. And Tristan Knowles, again, right into a soft pocket, and he'll go right off the glass, and he'll kiss it down for another couple of points. And Eng, he will get himself rolling. He's been a little bit, well, controlled so far. And rather, those points going to Gonchen, but they've got a little bit of a combination of two of those. Eng and Gonchen working back and forth. So 6 points for Eng, 5 for Gonchen. And then really 2s across the board, but Tristan Knowles, he really has the weight of this Australian offense on his shoulder. Just catching up with his tally so far. He's got 13 points. And that one will just be defended well enough to keep it out of play. And now for Australia for the inbound. The good pass inside. Is they're gonna count it. I think the contact already happened before the shot attempt, and that does get ruled out. LATHAM has 3 Canadians right on top of them here. And there you see it going down, and a little bit of a roll as well. David Eng with the feed to the top of the key. They need to create a little bit more movement. Gonchen with this shot here. It goes up and off racing forward is Simmons. Simmons is going to lose his balance. He'll have to get himself back into a position. He's struggling there. He's getting some help now from his teammate. And the referee just acknowledging the challenge there, blows the whistle. And 13 points as we see for Knowles. He's speeding away right now and putting on a real shooting clinic. Inside, just fading away from the basket here. And Simmons, with an offensive rebound, puts it back out to Knowles. And this is really impressive from Australia. And they have a couple good looks at it. They use the outside and the inside game. And then the shot from a distance just can't fall. Then Gonshin has the attentions immediately from Tristan Knowles coming across and swiping into him with his chair there. And that's the foul that has been indicated. And Morinchuk is now out onto the floor. His first bit of play. He's the 20-year-old. He's a 4.5 classified player too. And just as you see it, the Canadians have struck again. And a three-pointer. And what a beauty it is. It's Gonshin has shown you just how much he has in his arsenal. He's got range from outside and inside, and that is a tremendous threat. He's now on 8 points, so he leads the Canadian side. This is a much tighter game than maybe the opening results for Canada may have suggested in this tournament. A foul comes in. Will they allow it to be taken as in the course of shooting? So Knowles already saddled up and on the line, and the query coming from Hedges, he the co-captain with ENG. This game going back and forth, and get a real sense that momentum could swing either way if either of them could really get on a good run, but they seem to be keep pegging each other back. And then that first three-pointer you see from Canada, it's got this match within 2.
All right, spin out of that. Don't let them hold us. Have them dead to rights. They're not calling the hold. I'll work on the referees. You focus. All right? Let's kind of initiate that turn in contact, okay? Let's go, guys. Let's go. Canada! Let's go! What's behind?
So you hear the comments coming from the Canadian coach. That's Stephen Bialoa is just talking about, listen, don't you worry about having conversations with the referees. That'll be my duty of responsibility. Just focus on what you can take care of. They've got themselves in a good position. It looked as though they were letting it slip. And that's as good a Dr. Clouseau mustache as I have seen in a while. That's a Rollie Fingers special. He, a famous baseball pitcher with the Oakland Athletics. Even Dennis Eckersley sported one of those. But this is a moment really for Canada to try and take a turn of momentum. Tristan Knowles missing that first shot, and he'll find the second one. So it's JASSMAN with the signature facial hair there for the Canadians. It's distinct enough to warrant comment. And a shot, is it before they've been able to release it though? Gonshin has really started to spread his wings. So far in the tournament, he's 9 points is what he's been able to deliver. So he and David ENG have been able to bring the most, but 9 is not enough to win at this level of competition. He's putting on a strong display in this one. 7 minutes still to go in the half, and he's already at 8 points. And what I mean is, if the top scorer on your side is only generating 9 points average in their output, that will not help your side be victorious. The good sides, they're into the 20 points, their top scorers, or definitely in their teens if it's distributed across 4 players. McShane will now come in for Australia. So a repeat of the gold medal match from 4 years ago. And although it looked as though the Canadians were going to be second fiddle in this one for definite, it's not playing out like that at the moment. Johnson with this ball, he's shown us a 3-point look and also a conversion. That's an ambitious pass and not as well read it by Hedges, and waiting for it as he was just turning and then facing his back. Formidable stature, number 15, the captain, the co-captain for this Australian side, and also more senior in years too, so he knows how to play the game, and a little bit of physicality will never hurt anybody. It certainly lets the other team know your urgency and intensity as well. He'll take a score to the inside. He gets that pass and Ness puts it up. So that's equally just providing the substance required from his leadership. You'll put a few points on the board, and equally not always about the amount that you're scoring, just at the right times too are key, as teams will go through moments of greater confidence, and then other times where they're struggling, trying to find their form in the course of shooting, and they're going to count that as an offensive foul. And JASSMAN gets the foul, number 11 on that play, so he's just off the play trying to pick and create an opening for his teammate to come down the lane, and that's what the referees assessed on that call. Canada looking to replenish with 4 different players now coming in, set on the sidelines in front of their bench. So that's a pretty big wholesale change. Johnson will take the rebound. He's going to go here. He's got some extra space. He's going to have to take it on by himself, and he holds and controls, almost surfing, isn't it? As you're trying to corner under a great amount of speed, and your best way to really maintain that balance is to throw your arms up in a way almost creating a sail, and it's just that extra bit of structure. As you see, there's the Canadian that was going into Morinchuk, and he went down. So there are the 4 new players coming in, and what is going on here? Saw the Australian taking an almighty tumble. So some of the extracurricular going on between these sides right now is interesting. It's certainly giving a flavor of just how much it means to them, this match. They know where it sits in the entire aspect of this tournament too. Knowles is needing a pit stop as he gets some new hardware there, a new wheel, in preparation for an adjustment. Pretty simple, isn't it? As he's able just to position that on as quickly, and he's ready to roll. I suspect he gets a few miles on those wheels over the course of a match. Some new tread. The Aussie down. He gets the help from a friend. The front end loader picks him up and back in the course of play. Vermette. Well, rather, that's the Canadians, number 13. It is McShane. Tristan Knowles from downtown Rio de Janeiro, but it won't fall. And the Olympic Park out in Tijuca, a newly constructed area of Rio. The majority of it is the fabulous venues that you have been seeing, and the International Broadcasting Center as well. A few hotels in this region, but It really is a newly developed area of Rio, right on an internal lagoon. So just about a mile or so inland from the Atlantic Ocean is where this particular arena is located. It's going to be ENG though. He'll take these free throw shots from the line. That's an important one. It's back as it's been as much as 5. 5 really has been the barometer and the measuring stick that has been able to be maintained by Australia. He takes a bite out of that with that shot, and he's taken a further nibble. It's down to 3 now. Quick movement from Norris into Ness. Ness, with that height advantage, is able just to poise the shot up. He's strong. It's just getting away, and it's fallen into the Australian clutches again. That looked to be on line. It's going to be David ENG. We've seen 1 3-pointer from range for Gonchen. ENG hasn't taken one. He will now. That's going to come short though, and it goes right in the hands of Norris. So that's rather a quick look, and then a foul against Australia. Some of that going on, and you'd say, well, depending on which sport you're watching, call it sledging, where you're just taking players out off the play, and it's one of those accidentally on purpose plays. Now, this is a game that it has every chance of getting edgy and maybe beyond. It's number 14 for Canada, and that is Tyler Miller. He's a 1.5 classified player, a 32-year-old. And from here, where we're waiting the direction from the referees, the basketball just got away from him. There's more than just the one, but this is what's happening. Some of this disjointed play where teams are getting distracted with the physicality and some of the intimidation that comes with it as well. It brings about just these moments of uncertainty. David ENG, he does the 360 loop. That's as good a spinorama as you're going to see. It's out to ENG. That's going to be a tough one. It just goes beyond the rim, and ENG's just come up a little bit short in his last couple attempts. And now the Mexican wave starts to kick its way around this Rio Olympic arena. The energy and the buzz and the crowds for the Paralympic Games, and particularly the wheelchair basketball, has been as good as the Olympic Games. In fact, I'd hazard a guess even better in some stages of it. The Brazilians are coming out in waves, and there appropriately as it whips around the Rio Olympic arena. Capacity crowds in Carioca, one, the other wheelchair basketball venue. This, the biggest in the park and the biggest in Rio, indoor facilities. 16,000 seats. And we are north of 10,000 for sure in here. The turn from ENG to the high key area beyond the 3-point range. They've had a little bit of a better look from Liam Hickey, number 8. He's handling the ball well for Canada right now. ENG looking to drive around the end, and the end around just never gets around to getting to him. And that's a big hit. They've done it again, and ENG goes down in a heap. And he's going to try and get himself sorted. He's going to come right out of his chair, and he sees that as a better way of getting back upright. And so all players with a lower limb impairment in this particular sport, obviously some are able to walk with their prosthetic limbs, not always in a wheelchair. There you see in the background ENG basically doing the Superman, flying right through the air and fully horizontal, and almost the wheelchair coming with him as he was spraying through the air. So there will be players that do that. It's interesting watching the coach for the Dutch women. He has his amputations, and on the end of them he has shoes on the end of his amputations. He'll walk up and down that sideline. Also likes to sit. You've seen a few coaches at the athlete's height level like to sit on their backsides rather than sitting in a chair, and it becomes a real personal connection that they have with their team. It's almost as if it's just sitting down and it's a casual exchange. But this, however, this got some bite to it. Australia have gone to the capable hands of Norris continuously. Inside, the hand coming up from the Canadian defender. That was Liam Hickey. He's 18 years of age. What would you rather be doing as a teenager, competing at the Paralympic Games, or in college, wherever he might be, maybe in work at this stage? But here you are on the biggest stage for your sport and enjoying it. But it's been Latham who drops it from the outside. As he got two, he does. It's a double play of free throws. So the scoreline starting to increase now for Australia. It's 8 points clear. As we're getting to the latter third of this first half now, the second quarter rather, as the 2 minute on the clock coming, and that's generally an indication of just a call to arms, wanting to manage your possessions and equally control momentum going into halftime. Norris, he's the go-to man. He'll control the ball as well as anybody on the floor. Eng will take it though. He goes too strong off the glass, and Eng is awaiting for it. And you see him almost with so much extension. He comes off the floor. And the famous athlete for Canada, no longer playing in wheelchair basketball, Patrick Anderson, highly regarded as probably the best in the sport. He was a part of the gold medal in London 4 years ago, but he made famous the move of actually elevating off the floor with the wheelchair and extending, trying to get rebounds. And that is not an easy thing to achieve. It will go, and it will be controlled by Canada. Hickey comes up with it. Canada, their shooting touch has kind of failed them a little bit in the stages here right now. And Eng will take it and score. That really was great. In motion and trying to hold his line. He extends with his follow through. He gets the harm from the wheelchair, just trying to block him out. And that was McSHANE doing his best to force him on the outside line. And from Eng, from there, to follow through and to get the swish. That's a golden moment. Now he'll really just visualize this one, will Eng. He's just looked down, he's gone through the motion of preparation for this shot. This brings it back within 5. He's unable to do it though. It goes off the rim, and he's come up a little bit short. Inside, in the course of shooting, Latham can't take that first opportunity and convert it. So inside this last minute now, this is where it has been, in and around this half a dozen point lead. And this to extend, it's been as much as 8, it's been around 5. Canada have never led though in this match so far. It was a 21-16 scoreline after the first quarter. And Australia are just leading by the 1 point if you just look at the second quarter on its own. But they have a 6-point advantage overall, as you can see, and they elect to utilize a timeout. So you hear the comments don't all arrive at once, find the gaps, and equally getting a hand up on Gonchen, who has really been the most comfortable shooter for Canada so far. Just looking at his numbers, he's got the 8 points. He's shooting 60%. It's a better shooting percentage than what they've seen out of David ENG so far. He shoots at 30. So Gonchen, they're expecting, is going to come back off of these free throws and be the most likely shooter for Canada. But from the line, that's an important basket for Australia as LATHAM gets his 3rd point. Takes it to 7, and it'll be challenging to get the double-digit lead for Australia before the end of this half, but you need to just take care of these bonus points. They tally up, and they do make a difference. They just keep turning the screw against the opposition and always applying the pressure. LATHAM just waiting for the ball, and that's a little bit kind of like the suggestion that, yep, dinner's ready, but oh, just hold on a second. Any player wants that ball at the free throw line, and they have only given the 1 shot. So there, a change of speed, and this needs to be clarified, I think, between the officials, is the sounding from the timekeeper's bench. So what is happening? They're saying 2 shots. They allowed 1. Bailoa standing by. Ettridge equally as curious as to what's going to come out of this discussion. So 2 shots. It goes back now. And you see the official equally as curious and just sort of resigned. That's the call. Not sure how it could have changed, but nonetheless, LATHAM takes the shot. Oh, does he work the rim there? And now it's an 8-point spread. He gets both of them from the line. That's his 4th point of the game so far. Gonchen could come around the end here. Tristan Knowles is going to make him have to pull up on himself to the outside. And this, the long play. Gonchen again, as they knew, was most likely going to be the threat. He's going to have to be impressive. The shot clock is, though, slipping away. And this, they're going to have to work quickly, Canada. Oh, they'll find it. And a strike that just keeps them within touching distance. And it's now within 6, and that's where it has been. But it looked really as though they were running out of time. And Liam Hickey just drops in a bucket. Inside, coming over the back. And they're going to count it. The hoop and the harm. So inside to Norris. But Hickey, those were his first 2 points of the match. He's only had 2 attempts at it to get that score as he's fading away. And then equally, just waiting to see, are they going to put it on the board? So the shot. And the credit there now being awarded to Norris. He'll wait for the bonus point. It's looking good so far from the free throw line. He's 3 from 3. He drops it. So 9.3 seconds. A ways to travel to get to a good shot, and the aggressive defense from Australia, that makes it difficult. Just electing to let that ball come forward because the clock only starts when they have it in their retention. Down low, Gonchen, and is there a reaching in? And are they going to count this one? Well, that rotating and coming around the corner. So we're getting late in this. It's Gonchen who draws the foul. He's going to take the shot. So we're at a point where we've exceeded the foul threshold, and they will, in fact, get the chance now to go to the line. Even though that was a quick whistle, he was just trying to come around the end. He takes the first one. Those are crucial points for both sides, just to keep the scoreboard moving forward positively. He's in good position again. and he won't get both of them. Latham with the important defensive rebound, and Australia will just retain possession. No long lunges late at the end of 20 minutes of play. And this is proving maybe a tighter matchup than possibly expected. Really just looking at the results so far, leading into it, you thought that maybe the Canadians were going to be left for dust. Australia have already made their way to the changing room for halftime. They have 15 minutes and the clock already started, and Canada just assembling themselves and gathering their thoughts, just preparing to get themselves, and they'll go as a group across when they're all ready. So gold medal world champions are Australia from 2014. They lead the gold medal Paralympic champions from 2012 in London. It's 36-28, Australia over Canada at halftime in the men's wheelchair basketball. This is Group A action in the preliminary round. And the statistics so far, the shooting a little bit better from Canada from 2-point range. It's those 3-pointers that have been really momentum building for Australia. They were in the first quarter, but they've been able to, from the free throw line, be dynamite, 11 from 12. And then the defensive rebounds as well. They've had 20 of them. The points from turnover haven't really been a story in this match as yet. So you see it's just a couple points for Australia, but it's within 8 points at halftime. And between these two nations, the way we've seen some of the incidental stuff going on off the ball, and equally some of the free throws that come from technical fouls, this is a game that's entirely still in the balance. We'll join you and enjoy the entertainment at halftime for the third quarter, coming back in a moment. Canada in Australia locked in this one in the men's wheelchair basketball. It's the Australians with the 8-point lead coming in now to the third quarter, just a moment or two away. And a little bit surprising that this is as tight as it is. Australia with 2 impressive victories in their opening matchups. They beat the Netherlands, who are also a team that is in and amongst the medal podium discussion. And the Canadians equally are too, but as I say, they didn't have a great start to this tournament, and they're probably not at their full peak in quality in this particular Paralympic cycle. But it doesn't mean that they can't raise their game to take on the almighty Australian side. The green and gold, these two nations, they know each other well in men's wheelchair basketball. And this is going to be an interesting third and fourth quarter to come. Norris has done a great job handling the ball. He gives it to Knowles. Knowles has 14 points, and Norris has 9, and he's just feathered up a beauty off of the glass. He'll take it to 11. So this has gone to double-digit lead now for Australia. That's just exactly what they want to bring to open up this third quarter. The feed from ENG. ENG has just got too many players on him. The attempt from the shot, they're inside of 10 seconds now. Going right to is Gonshin. Gonshin just can't get the control he needs. That little bit of finesse on the final moment, and it just evades him. And you see Latham just getting upended there, but just as quick getting himself upright too. And Knowles into a shooting position. He shows you just how brilliant he can be. He's gone to 16. When you have a player of his quality and he's got a good look at the basket, he's going to have to take his shots, and that's the best way he can lead. So he's at 43%. It's not been an outstanding. Look at that tall rainbow coming from David ENG. He's a co-captain of Canada, and he now just keeps things moving, but it's within 10, and that's starting to creep away from Canada. They've got a long ways to go now. They'll take ENG at 12 points. Gonshin's got 9. So just the spread between the two top scorers on each side is an indication of the overall reflection in the score. 21 points being generated between the two top shooters on Canada, and for Australia, the two top shooters are generating 27. So there are 6 of the 10 points to the credit of Australia right there, holding on the line, and they've done a great job, have Australia, just closing down these lanes where Canada are trying to open up. David ENG was going to come firing in there. He awaits and tries to tease this defense out, open up some space for him to try to get into. But it will go to Gonshin. He takes this feed. He's going to moonwalk away from the trouble, and a pass, and they just can't work that one down. It's as slow as you'll see a ball ricochet and rebound around the rim without falling in. And Knowles just gets himself into a tight space, and he pushes ENG away. ENG offers some help there, and you saw the way ENG handled himself at the beginning of this match, going all the way down the entire bench of the Australians, shaking and acknowledging each one of them, each player that wasn't starting, and each coach of the coaching staff. A real class act and a real leader for this Canadian side. There's Gonshin. We'll try to get it in ENG. It just can't be controlled though, and Tristan Knowles gets it back. A long play up this into the capable receivership of Latham, and he will put 2 more points up. This has been good so far from Australia. They're extending their lead. It was as much as 8, it's now gone to 12. And both of the Australian players unsighted. They had their back to that pass. It goes into the lap of Gonshin. He's a no-look pass out to ENG. And he hasn't quite got the range that we've seen from that distance from the Australian number 9, Tristan Knowles, who's got 3 three-pointers in the match. The feed in, And Knowles will take the foul en route to putting in another couple points. And Canada are just getting broken up a little bit right now. Just becoming a little bit deconstructed and a little bit disassembled in how they need to really focus their defensive efforts. And you're seeing that discussion going on there. And that was brought about really by Lois said, let me deal with the referees. That was Hedges coming across, the veteran, and just querying the call. He's the 36-year-old. He's one of the co-captains of Canada. And he'll come out, Juan, Hickey, Gonchen, Vermette, and Miller. So Eng takes a breather as well. And this game's just starting to increase now for Australia. They're really just taking it by the scruff of the neck and starting to drive it forward. There is an important shot for Canada from Juan. He just keeps things moving. Peter Juan, 28-year-old, a 2.5. So again, if you're just tuning in, every player has a numerical value apportioned to their level of function, and that effectively makes up their classification. And you can only have a total cumulative value of 14 on the floor at any one time, and the players will have a rating for their classification anywhere from 1 up to 4.5. So 4.5, the players with the higher level of function, often maybe more the scorers providing the offense. This is Gonchen, he's a 4.5. He's got Tristan Knowles coming back in. This is going to be out. They're going to really have to work to get this into their possession before going in. And you see that bench is not going to give any. Norris, he can break through that advertising hoarding okay, but that's going to be pretty tough on the shins going through that heavy solid oak bench that's there for the media taking photographs, and equally just taking on board some of the video for this matchup. Unfortunately, he has a little bit of padding there from one of the photographers. But they have a timeout and a chance now just to reset the decks.
And we are physically dominating, all right? Really good job. About time, all right? Good job. Like that. Hey, keep being big. Facilitate. They're worried about him, all right? Run your pick and roll. We're coming to you late, all right? Great job, man. Active down that end. Hey, 2 more minutes. 40 more seconds is what we need. 40 more seconds of your best. Let's go. Boys. 1, 2, 3, roll, shoot.
So you listen to the coach, and they're talking about 40 more seconds. So they'll break the game down into eighths, really. As we've got 4 quarters, and then each of them dividing in half is Ben Edwards talking about 40 more seconds to get to that 5-minute mark of this third quarter, where they just are trying to keep Canada, if they can, off the scoreboard. Talking about their physical dominance and controlling the game into this third quarter. They have done that precisely. They're 12-4 up now in this third quarter, if you just look at it in its own work. So Canada have been sputtering coming into the second half, and you're starting to really see that reflected in the overall scoreline. Norris is the danger player. He's the most active down low. He gets the feed right there. He's under the basket. You wouldn't bet against him finding a way to get it in. He does. He doesn't use the backboard that time. It's just up over the rim for another 2. Gonchen with the spin move. And a little bit of a offload there. It's almost like a handoff. Canada, that's a tough shot, and they missed the rim entirely. And down is the Aussie, just waiting for some help to get upright again. That's McShane. Really low to the floor, and that can be difficult to get yourself. It's difficult as it is, as far as just getting back up when they've fallen under their own steam. When you're low to the floor too, just that apex to get yourself upright again. It can be tough to navigate. The foul will lead to the inbound on the near side. Gonchen already prepping himself, just talking about his two-handed set and how he wants to get it in. But Knowles has just really controlled things. They've two of them, both Knowles and NORRIS. .33 of the 50 points between the two of them for Australia. That's a pretty good-looking shot there. It's just in open space. Liam Hickey will take what's given to him. He's now got 4 points. He's just had the 4 shots, so he's shooting at 50%. And Juan in and amongst it as well now. Canada have just been slow starting and not been able to play their game in this third quarter. And it's been a robust effort from Australia, really executing. And again, Knowles is going to go for three-point land, and look at him. He's a superstar from range as he just continues to rein in three-point buckets. That's his 4th one of the game. And that really is significant. It's the most that we've seen in the tournament. Oh, and he comes right back, this Gonchen. And almost the second one, a little more surprising than the first, because you expect that when you want to answer back that maybe it's a little bit too much to ask, but Gonchen, he's got that in his pocket. Tristan Knowles, though, he's leading from the front. He's got 23 points. And he really, with the ball in his hand again right now, is setting the tempo for this entire match. And another effort, when you're feeling it, why not go for it? It will not fall. And substitutions, both sides looking to shuffle the deck and bring in some new personnel. Eng will make his way back in as well. And you're seeing Etheridge just working away, consistently making sure that his team is focused on the task at hand. And Australia just keep working away on that scoreline. It's NORRIS again, 15 points. David Eng, it's in, and he answers back. And it's going to go against Eng, that foul. And the tally now going to 5, which will create the opportunity now to go with shots from the line. And Canada just starting to fade in this one. It's just been increased. It's been this third quarter that's really hurt them. They are now down by, well, they've been outscored by Australia by 9 points in this third quarter alone. The second will not go. 5 from 6 though from Latham, 83% from the free throw line. That's good going for anybody. They've just been so busy defensively, so active, and the tempo being set by the Australian coach. There's a little bit of the up and under, and that just settles in for the Canadian. And that is JASSMAN. Those are his first 2 points of the match. ENG with the defensive rebound. If he could get himself just moving even stronger. He's at 14 points. He's been doing his job, but it really has been Knowles who's been able to get on runs. And the shot, as it goes up, I expect he's going to get 2. He was in the course of shooting. And Australia just breaking away from that congregation there now. He goes to the line, does ENG. A couple shots here, and it starts to get interesting, but you can see by Lois, he knows that this just doesn't seem to be getting closer. And it's a sliding scale, and every time Canada's able to get a point or two, and ENG really will be disappointed with that one. It just keeps getting away from them again. They're not chasing shadows, they're just chasing a side that is playing a little bit better as a collective. ENG will take the second. The feed down low. And the basket as well for the Australians. The assertion, the aggression, that's what was being talked about from their coach, and just setting the tempo. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're executing to follow up as well. And a couple of air balls back and forth for both sides. And they're no different than a shot that goes off the rim and doesn't fall in, but it does affect the confidence that maybe you haven't quite got your sight set or equally the right range of feel of distance, but it's irrelevant now. It's ENG. ENG does a great job there. That's a powerful move to try and get the defense to sell on the full extension of their hands up in front of you, and then come up and around and finds a different route to be effective with a couple points there. And the tough part is it's not far away from your body before you start to tip and are likely going to be in a position just to see the Australian right there, Simmons. So you have to really leverage against that as you try to extend wide away from your chair to anticipate that you might extend yourself beyond your balance point. And that's what makes the impressive delivery equally to be crisp enough, strong enough, and precise enough to get the 2 points. But you look at ENG, he looks like he could probably throw up 300 pounds on a bench press. He's got the ball now. And from the outside, it will just kick off the rim. That's the co-captain utilizing ENG again. They're inside the last minute of this quarter. And a shot with the dying seconds from 3-point range. That might have a chance. It's going to miss. It doesn't touch the rim. And the possession is with Australia. So they're just going to allow the inbound there. That has to hit the rim in order for the reset of 14 seconds on the clock. Nonetheless, it was Australia that took the rebound. You see a few players just wrapped up in each other there. It really takes almost just an element of patience, but you really have to do your best. They actually take the wheel right off as the back wheel gets caught in the front bumper of ENG. And these players are their own mechanics as well. So you would have seen the sign there, Go Rollers from the Australians. That's one of the club teams in Australia. Brett Stibner is playing for them. Wollongong Rollers. Some great names. The Brisbane Spinners, the Red Dust Healers, the Perth Wheelcats, the Gilseth Cobras. That all a part of the very impressive basketball culture in Australia. And as you see often with the club teams, of course, an element of association to Paralympic sport and something personal to themselves, but equally just as edgy as any sporting name you might see. A good shot. It'll be up and over. And inside of the dying seconds of this third quarter, ENG is just trying to get away. He's going to have to be really impressive and quick. The co-captain, he's just brought about too much attention. They can't get that shot off, and that's just a little bit of an indication there where Canada hasn't quite got an answer to break down this Australian defense. Australia have been aggressive, they've reduced time and space, and they have earned this advantage after 3 quarters of play. They're up 14 points over Canada, 58-44 at 3-quarter time. This is the men's wheelchair basketball from Group A. And the stats almost the same in the field goal percentage shooting. The defensive rebounds, 5 more as you see. The offensive rebounds, that's a story to tell, where they get 10 of them, Australia, as opposed to 3 for Canada. And they have been in a better position. Canada not being able to get down low under the basket as often as they really need to be effective. But that's reflected in their offensive rebound output over the 3 quarters that they have played. And Tristan Knowles, there has not been an answer for him. ENG, he's got the shooting touch equally for Canada. He's at 17 points in this one, but it is in fact Tristan Knowles at 23, and it's those 3-pointers as well. He's got 4 of them, and those don't, well, they count even more than just 3 points. That's just the momentum, and also the confidence that comes with having that dimension in your offense. And Australia have been showing it as often as they feel it will be successful. You look at Knowles, he is totally in charge, and you talk about physique of David ENG, he's the mirror image of it. Maybe not as tall as ENG, but you bet that he can throw the weights around in the weight room too. And that's the score, again, confirmation of it. It's going to be a road to hoe for Canada to get back and to recover this 14-point deficit. It rattles around the rim. Gonshin goes up for it, but it'll be taken down by his teammate. And Hickey with control. They'll come around the backside. They've controlled Gonshin up high outside this 3-point area. He's not taking as many looks at it, but you see the attention that he warrants. They know that he is ultimately very capable of breaking down a shot and putting it in. That goes off. If they could have ricocheted and got to that one, Canada, that would have been a live ball, but it just kicks out. Simmons in position for this inbound. Stibner's taking his time. He makes the play, and it goes back to Stibner's. Now wide across the zone. Oh, and he just puts it in as if he'd just been waiting against time to find his moment, utilizing the game clock as well. And if you can do that, maximize your possessions with the ball, and at the end of it, get a return, well, that really is game management at its best. They've got the lead. They really are in control now, Australia. There's a couple points back. It keeps the Canadians just bubbling along. Deans, the play across. You've seen that a moment ago. Into Stibners. And he works the rim. It just bumps off the front of it. And the quick transition trying to be employed, but Australia have been dynamite at getting back and not allowing any fast break points, not allowing Canada to really get up and establish any position. By the time they have approached the halfway point of the line, they're already looking at a 5-pack of Aussies basically populating that key area and directing traffic as to where Canada can look from and where they'd like to go. Stibners! Oh my, he's got another pocket rocket, and he's just dropped a 3-ball. That's another one for Australia. 5 overall, 4 of them belonging to Knowles. That one now from Stibners, and look at him. He's up to 10 points on double digits, and 6 of them, rather 7 of them, just coming in the last few minutes. Contact on the arm, leading to the call, the foul. Etheridge, always interesting to have a listen in on these timeouts. Get an idea of just the personality, equally the intention, obviously, directly, right from the horse's mouth. Even though they know they're on camera and being listened to, they're not going to change their message. They've got to make sure that they are paying attention to the details that their teams need to execute. Stibners again. He's gone up to a dozen. Oh, what a feed right down the lane for Juan, and Peter Juan. He's just really burst across the tape. ENG to come in, and this is Bailoa suggesting we got to get you in this match because it's really getting away from us. But at 19 points from here, it's going to have to be an almighty implosion for Australia to forfeit this lead. They're too good for that. But again, this is sport. Sometimes crazy things happen. We'll see just how the Canadians can work this from here. Stibners elects to not go for a 3-pointer, although he had been successful a moment ago. Good utilization of the personnel on the floor. A better position ultimately. Down underneath the basket was that passing play. Johnson with the offload. And they won't get a chance for the shot. There will be 2 shots coming for Hickey now. The teenager. And he goes to the line. He's shooting 67% in the tournament so far. ENG. And Hickey working that one around. And that one will just deflect its way wide left of the rim. Australia just wanting to be smart here now. There's no need to rush things, no need to force it. Manage the game, and that's what we've seen from Stibners. He may have created a lane, but he'll come back. He's got open floor. He's going to utilize it. And now the shot clock is getting away. They need to work quickly. Deans is the option down low. It'll go off, and that just is pushed away from the defensive hands of the Canadians. They'll have the inbound now. And Deans hasn't been able to score yet. There was the last couple of possessions. They're trying to feed it to him. He's one of a few players still. 3 players left for Australia. And rather, McSHANE as well. So 4 in total. That could figure in the offense today. got to be frustrating. You see almost Eng is trying to bunny hop his way along to just get away from the players impeding his natural momentum and roll to the basket. He's got himself readjusted. He's buckled in. And a long pass. Received by the youngster Hickey. There into the lane. And again, just not quite precise enough. That was Tyler Miller, the shot for Canada. Now he's been upended. He'll do his best to get fourth right again. And equally the same from Juan. You see how he gets himself back up. A little bit of a jump hop into a square position. That's a little bit more of the core strength that comes from the majority of the men in this competition. We've seen some of the women very well capable of that, getting themselves back up, and most of them are. It's really just watching some of Argentina, Algeria, you have to say some of the developing nations in this sport, but over 100,000 athletes play this sport worldwide. At the elite level, participation level, club level, you name it, national level as we're seeing here. A shot and well off the mark that one. Good idea though, they're gonna have to really start to pull something out. Eng goes for the steal, he can't come up with it. And then Simmons has got his back to the play as that pass intended for him just goes into the bench area. That's a turnover marked against Allison. $17 points for Eng. That might be his day's work as he goes to the Canadian bench. And a foul going up. And the first shot doesn't find a way from Tyler Miller. And the same result comes twice. He's got a couple points so far. On the free throw line though, he misses those couple attempts. 20 points as you see the differential now. And it's not done for certain, but pretty much. The green and gold have got control of proceedings. And both teams are just going to want to keep smart about how they play the remainder of this match. For Canada, 0-2 coming in. And this now a third result. And that is going to spell a tall order to try and be one of the quarterfinalists. For certain, well, there's only going to be 4 coming out of this group of 6. We'll see just how it plays itself out. Another shot from the Aussies. Sharp as a knife, the Stiffners. He's making this a difficult few minutes for Canada. He's come in, he's been outstanding, in fairness. In this fourth quarter, he's just put himself into 16 points. Now he's the second leading scorer in his entire match. He's only played just over 12 minutes in it. Of the 40 that's potentially, well, that is available with 3 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. And he's just shot the lights out. 75% he's operating at. He's got that 3 ball as well. And he is just taking care of business. Something serious for Australia. Gonchen just trying to separate himself from the defender, create enough space for his arms to get a good shot off. And the Canadians are off the mark once again with that attempt. And here he is. The silent shooter Stibners just quietly coming in and just racking him up on the board. There's their co-captain again, Bradley Ness. And he holds that distinction all his own, actually. You see the shared captaincies across a number of these teams. But Ness is the only one. The veteran gets that denotation, 41 years of age, and a 4.5 classified player. And the work here from Gonshin, in as much as just having to muscle through two outstretched arms in front of him, and he finds a way in which to get the reward. So this quarter for Australia, they are leading at 17-7. They just took control in the second half and really took things. It was within reach. It was a 8-point spread at halftime, and then it's just slowly increased now to where you're seeing the Australians now 23 points ahead. Bradley Ness, the offload. Stibners will go from 3. Oh, he's got it. What can't he put in the basket in the second half of this game? And he's going to roll right through into 20 points soon. He's right at 19. That's impressive. It's the most threes that I've seen attempted and equally completed in this tournament, and neither the men's or the women's. It's 6 total now that have been dropped for Australia. And that's just in this match. He's going to go for it again. And this one will just be short of the mark. So the 3-pointers, now they get buried in their overall cumulative stat line. They have their percentages in the tournament so far. Canada just trying to get into the key inside the last minute of this match. And they'll, just for pride's sake, want to stand one more time up against the Australians. Look at that, underneath, a little offload, and the crowd oohing over that one as Bradley Ness shows a little bit of flair. And he takes that one full distance of the court into his clutches. And then the under looper, as he just offers that one under the table. Almost like a, well, little treat, wasn't it? Trying to connect that play, couldn't quite make the most of it.
Let's go. Canada.
Controlling. Maybe one more shot for the Canadians. There are 10 seconds in the shot clock, deep and down low underneath the basket. And the follow through from Eng, but the foul has already come before the shot attempt. just goes off the rim. And a look now at a new Canadian player into the lineup. This is LANCIA. He's just had over 5 minutes. Not a whole lot of action in this one, but he does have a point. He takes one of them. So Green, the only player for Canada not getting into this match. The majority of the scoring coming from David ENG, the co-captain, and then Gonson with 15 and ENG with 17. It's 53 points in total that Canada can accumulate, but it is some distance off of the 25 more that the Australians will put on the board. And there's a minute, or sorry, rather a second, 0.5, as they just hold that ball right to the end and just squeeze the life out of any hope. But there, the buzzer sounds. And after 4 quarters, it has been a very workmanlike and impressive performance from Australia. They mean business in Rio. They mean business every time they go out. But against a long-time adversary, Canada, who are going through a transformation and a transition in this sport at the moment, will fall to the land down under, who look poised to be going deep into this tournament, do the Aussies. Canada now fall to 0-3, and the Australians now 3-0, are looking strong in this Group A. And we'll see how it just shakes out as the players shake hands equally in the sign of respect that we've seen between these nations. The final score, Australia really leading from the front right from the beginning, 78